Another Saturday is upon us in the SEC, which means we are going to get more clarification on who sits where in the pecking order for the college football playoff. Well, either that or we're going to get more chaos. But either way, I cannot be more excited. And we have another tier rankings in week 11, so let's not waste any time. Welcome on into SEC Unfiltered. It's Cole Thompson here. Like the video, hit the ring notification, and subscribe to the channel because we talk college football daily, and we're so close to 30,000 subs. Make sure that you download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Follow us on the socials, link in the description, and check out all of our great work found at secunfiltered.com. And as always, we're proudly fueled by our friends over at FanDuel. Go visit FanDuel.com/SECU. Get started today with $300 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. The app is simple, free, and easy to use. Sign up today at FanDuel.com/SECU. $300 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. So, 8 tiers this week. As a disclaimer, per usual, a tier ranking means I have you in a certain pecking order among other teams. It does not mean I have you ranked 1 through 16. Good. Glad we got that out of the way. 8 tiers this week. For starters, a new tier. Stoop kid's afraid to leave his stoop. How many of you guys remember that episode of Hey Arnold? The Stoop kid afraid to leave his stoop. Well, it's Mark Stoops afraid to leave Lexington. That's kind of what it is. Kentucky comes in here. They get a massive win last week. They finally end the Hugh Freeze era out at Auburn, which is a good thing, I think, on the Plains. But now the question turns to, are you going to hold out hope that Mark Stoops can kind of turn things around? You get a win over Florida. You get a win over Tennessee Tech. You get another win against Vanderbilt. Now you're bowl eligible. Things are trending upward. Or do we know that the inevitable is about to happen? You do end your season with at least one conference victory, and that may be good enough. Is that where we are? Stoop kid afraid to leave a stoop when the stoop is actually Kroger Field at this standpoint. Basketball season has arrived. You don't care about college football anymore. Whatever happens, it's a good thing, but it's the thing that's on your focused mind and attention right now. That's Auburn. That's Florida. That's Arkansas. All 3 teams that are very good in basketball. All 3 teams that could make a run to the Sweet 16, the Elite 8, the Final 4, win a national title. Florida's coming off of winning a national title last year. So you love football. We know that your school is trying to figure out what they're going to do with the coaching staff, but your attention's now on the hardwood because you can't take much more heartbreak. On the Plains, who's going to be running the show after DJ Durkin? Is it going to be DJ Durkin? Could you close out the season on a little bit of a run? Maybe that gives you a little bit more hope into 2026. Are you fighting for Lane Kiffin with Florida? Florida, are you fighting with somebody else for Lane Kiffin at this standpoint? You have an opportunity to get a win over Kentucky this weekend, still be bowl eligible, have the best of your season ahead, but you did lose multiple players due to injury, and there is a little bit less buy-in after the Billy Gonzalez era started off with a near victory against Georgia in the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, and then went south immediately. And then Arkansas, shield your eyes, guys, out in Fayetteville. I mean, truly, Vietnam has gotten into a dark and gloomy place, and it is not getting much better. And my sweet baby boy, Taylon Green, is simply being wasted away, despite putting up decent numbers in Bobby Petrino's offense. He's having a really good year. It's really sad that I'm not going to be able to see him ever reach the college football playoff. But that's more so a me issue, not a you thing. The preseason poll lies. New tier that we threw in here. There's 2 teams. I think you know who they are. It's South Carolina and it's LSU for 2 drastically different reasons. For South Carolina, I think a lot of us viewed them as, let's see what you do in 2025. We're not ready to go ahead and say that you're a bad team or that last year was a flash in the pan. Let's just wait and see. Bring in a new offensive coordinator. You go out and you add in some defensive pieces. You still have Lenore Sellers and you have Beamer Ball. And really that's been the one thing that you could write home about. Special teams have been special at most times this year, but not much else. You have the worst offensive line in college football, in my opinion. You have one of the worst rushing attacks. You fired Mike Shula because you realized that the play calling was pedestrian at best. And you truly, in my opinion, and this sounds harsh, but it's the reality, wasted a year of Lenore Sellers, a special specimen that absolutely is going to be able to put up monster numbers in Columbia next season or at another school. And that's the biggest priority, I think, for Shane Bieber at this point, is to make sure that you hire the right offensive coordinator that entices number 16 to think that the future is very bright with him at Willie B on Saturdays. LSU's a little bit different because for me, LSU was, we went out, we spent money in the portal. We went out, we fixed our defense. We have an elite play caller. We returned ample talent on the offensive side. We know that we have an offensive coordinator taking the jump in year 2 with this quarterback, like we just saw with Mike Denbrock, like we saw with Joe Brady and Garrett Usmeyer. And that didn't happen. You're not playing for a national title this year. You're not going to the college football playoff. You may spoil a season or two with LSU and I mean with Oklahoma and Alabama, but besides that, there's really not much to write home about in Death Valley. In fact, Death Valley was cleared out before the fourth quarter against Texas A&M. That was the ultimate sign of, hey, things are not going right with Brian Kelly. And if that's what it took for you to go ahead and realize that this was no longer a match made in heaven, so be it. But the preseason poll lied. We all thought South Carolina could be a top 15 team and a dark horse for the college football playoff. Nope. We all thought that LSU could be a runner for the national championship. Nope. So preseason lies. Always make sure of that, kids. Don't let it come and bite you in the ass. The ultimate spoiler? Well, now that title belongs to Mississippi State. You know what? Just round of applause to the Bulldogs out in Starkville. You got to win in conference play. Your first one underneath Jeff Lebby. It almost took 16 games, but you got to win. That's a start. Can you play the spoiler role? Georgia comes to town this weekend. Could you make things a little bit close to disastrous for comfort? You know, you get that pit in your stomach if you're a Bulldog that wears red and black and say, man, we got to figure some things out offensively because if our defense is going to not bail us out of trouble this time, we've been playing with fire a little bit too long. Is this where the cowbells come ringing in our ears and we find a way to mess things up? That's one. What if somehow Texas A&M loses this weekend to Missouri? Well, Missouri's still very much alive in the college football playoff hunt. So what if you end up knocking them out? What if you end up being the reason why Mizzou doesn't get to go to the college football playoff anymore and they finish the year 9-3? And then let's just say Florida somehow, some way goes into Vaught Hemingway and they beat Ole Miss. Well, Ole Miss would have 2 losses at this point, and that's not a guarantee to go to the college football playoff at the third. It's the Egg Bowl. Weird things happen out at Davis Wade Stadium. Weird things happen in Stark Vegas on a Friday night. You mean to tell me for 1 second that we potentially couldn't see this Egg Bowl having even more drama and Jeff Lebby leading the charge to a bowl-eligible season? All you need is 1 win. That's all you need to close out the year. 1, and you're bowl-eligible in year 2. Fantastic turnaround. That's just an added bonus. Could you do that? Can your defense do enough to bail you out of trouble this weekend? Can your offense provide that spark? Maybe you have some design runs with Kamario Taylor involved. Regardless, if you figure out a game plan that's really potent in this standpoint, you may play the ultimate spoiler role in 2025. And that would be fantastic, I think, for just the morale of what is Starkville and the Bulldogs program going into year 3. James Franklin's favorite team. It's the one and only Tennessee Volunteers for 2 reasons. Number 1, we all heard that crap-ass take out there. And I would be the first to say I don't think that all Tennessee fans feel this way. That Josh Heupel is James Franklin 2.0. I think a lot of Vols fans actually really do appreciate what Josh Heupel has been able to accomplish in his tenure in Knoxville. But for those of you that are still sitting on the edge, let me remind you that before Josh Heupel arrived, you were settling for a 1-8-4 season. You never had a 10-win campaign with Lane Kiffin, Derek Dooley, Butch Jones, or Jeremy Pruitt. You never were in the hunt for a college football playoff bid. You didn't go to Atlanta. You never competed alongside Florida and Georgia for an SEC East title. And you were becoming an afterthought in the SEC. Just remind all those things about when you say, Josh Heupel, not the guy. Josh Heupel, not the dude. And I know most of you are saying, but it needs to be said. The offense needs a jolt. I would agree with that. But also, let's just remind ourselves that this was an offense that was expected to be led by Nico Iamaleava, who decided to then go and try to pigeonhole and sabotage the entire situation out and knock Rocky Top and put a pin between him and the program. And Josh Heupel said, see you later. Enjoy Los Angeles. We're going to go bring in the kid that currently transferred from Appalachian State, our neck of the woods, or at least that southeastern region, to the Los Angeles area and bring him on in. And up until quite literally the matchup against Oklahoma, where he had 3 turnovers, he was putting up pretty good numbers and a lot of people were happy with him. And ultimately, now there's an opportunity for you to go 9-3. But the reason why I say this is James Franklin's favorite team is, well, James Franklin was able to get the job done for the most part at a place like Penn State. You didn't win the big game, but you still usually went 10-2, and 10-2 in a college football playoff that features 12 teams would have featured the Nittany Lions year in and year out. And now Penn State is hitting reset, and they're saying, we're going to bring in the right guy. We're going to bring in the right dude to change our culture and make us even better than before. And Kirk Cignetti is not leaving Bloomington, and Matt Rule is not leaving Lincoln. And I don't think that you're going to get much better than what you currently have on your horizon. And you're going to be taking a swing in the dark for your next head coach, which means Could be the Bo Pelini effect. You thought you could do better, you couldn't. And lo and behold, now you become a bottom dweller in the Big Ten. And that might be Penn State, James Franklin's favorite school. If Josh Heupel at any point decides to say, hey, LSU's giving me a phone call. Hey, Penn State really wants to have a conversation with me. And he leaves, and you think, oh, we can do better than Josh Heupel. We can do better than him. He's the James Franklin of our program. Always going to be known as the bridesmaid and never the bride. Never going to be able to win anything. All right, let's see what happens. Let's see how you fix this problem. Money doesn't solve everything. Auburn has a lot of it, and guess what? They still can't get the hire right. So don't be sitting on your high horse right now saying, oh, we can do better than what we have with Josh Heupel. Yes, I do think that the offense needs a jolt. Yes, I do think that you need to make some defensive personnel switches. But to come out here and act like that, you can do better than Josh Heupel. Come on, guys. It's not the James Franklin's favorite team. He's a really damn good coach. He's a top 12 coach in college football, in my opinion. And it was supposed to be a 9-3 year by my standards. Guess what? They're very much on the horizon to go 9-3. Or I even said at one point they could go 8-4. Lo and behold, they lose one more game. Right on cue, ladies and gentlemen. Win out and you're in. These are 4 teams that don't need to listen to the noise. They don't need to listen to what Big Ten people are saying, what the national public eye is saying, how we're giving the benefit of the doubt to these teams. Guys, block it all out. Simply win and you're in. That's what it comes down to. Vanderbilt, Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri. Now, Missouri has the toughest pathway because if Missouri loses this weekend, they're out of the college football playoff conversation. A 9-3 team, I don't see a scenario getting in with Mizzou's schedule. If they were to win this weekend, well, then they still have to face off against Mississippi State and against Oklahoma. And if they somehow were to win that, then they have to face off against Arkansas. And Arkansas would love nothing more than to ruin a season for Mizzou. They simply would. But I don't want to hear from people on the outside saying, well, Mizzou's just a sad sack program. No, Mizzou's a prideful program. And they still have a top 5 defense, and they still have a top 10 pass rush, and they still have top 10 secondary, and they still have one of the best running backs in the country. And Matt Zollers is a superstar athlete. So if you just dial up some good plays and some trickery, if you're Kirby Moore, you could actually have this team humming at the right time going into the college football playoff, and they may be one of the biggest threats to go win a couple of games. But they have to win out. They have to beat Texas A&M this weekend, and then they have to win the next 2 games before they can even start really thinking about the college football playoff. And the same thing goes for Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt suffered a very, very, very heartbreaking loss on the road to Texas. And thankfully, because of some officiating and some really bad coverage from Texas, however you want to phrase it, they made it closer than expected. Diego Pavia finally threw for 300 yards in his career, and the offense was humming at the right time. The good news is you're number 16 in the polls. That's a pretty decent spot because the ACC is going to ruin itself, and potentially the Big 12 is going to knock itself out. And Texas and Oklahoma still have to play against 2 powerhouse teams, actually 3 powerhouse teams. So there's an opportunity for Vanderbilt. Just do your job. Don't listen to anybody saying it's Vanderbilt. Like, really? Vanderbilt? Don't listen to the outside noise. Just play your version of football. Great tackling, good on third down execution, winning the time of possession, running the crap out of it, and having a couple of explosive plays that set the tone in the second half, and you're 10-2 and you're in the college football playoff. So don't even think about anything else other than just what you have ahead. Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee on the road. That's it. That's all you got to worry about. As for Texas and Oklahoma, again, you have a very good case if you're 9-3 to make the college football playoff. But it starts by getting a signature win. For Oklahoma, that's on the road next week against Alabama. For Texas, that's on the road next week against Georgia. And if somehow, some way you're able to go ahead and pull those off, I'm not saying it's good to go ahead and finish the year 9-3. You should just win out and figure things out on your own. But if you do, there's enough to like about you. Texas offensively, what we've seen the last 6 quarters, looks like a top 15 unit in college football. They certainly have a defensive line that's going to get after everybody. And the 5-star composite numbers that we are accustomed to seeing so far from Texas this year were very much on display in critical moments in the 4th quarter against Mississippi State and through 3.5 quarters against Vanderbilt. So already we know that there is talent abroad, and it's very much going to be utilized to its strengths. If Arch Manning ends up balling on out the way that he has since the 3rd quarter against Mississippi State, it's going to be very hard to slow down this offense. And in my opinion, that's good enough to guarantee that you will at least pull off one upset win, whether it be against Georgia or against Texas A&M at home. And 9-3 with that schedule, with a signature win against a top 5 team and a 7-point loss against potentially the number 1 team, does give you the benefit of the doubt. And as for Oklahoma, well, defensively, you're still a top 10 unit. I don't know why people have forgotten about that in the slightest. Offensively, you're starting to figure out who you are on the ground. Now, I'm not saying that you don't have a passing attack, and I'm not saying that John Mateer hasn't been underwhelming as a passer. What I am saying is that now you're seeing the complementary pieces, such as an Xavier Robinson, step on up, such as a Torrey Blaylock having a bigger role. So I think at that standpoint, you got to be impressed with what Oklahoma has done, especially knowing that their defense is going to bail them out of trouble. And if Brett Venables can do just enough to pull off an upset, he's 4-1 as a head coach coming off of a bye week. You can do that on the road. You should feel pretty good about beating Mizzou, and you should feel pretty good about beating LSU. 10-2, guaranteed in the playoff. Win out, you're in. No questions asked. One Saturday at a time. Georgia and Ole Miss fall in this category. For Ole Miss, a lot of people are looking and saying, well, Lane Kiffin's got to be happy right now. His team, they're very much in the college football playoff picture. They're probably going to host a playoff game out in Oxford. He doesn't need to get better. And then there's the back of the mind that says, well, LSU still is a better program on paper than Ole Miss. And Florida is a better program on paper than Ole Miss. But you see, that helmet right above me speaks incredible volume. You got to make sure that you leave no doubt on why Lane Kiffin wants to stick around in Oxford for the long term. And that just starts by winning. But win one Saturday at a time. He played the Citadel this weekend. You should beat the Citadel by 100. You really should. You should mollywop that. I should see Austin Simmons be playing in the second half. The running clock should be on display. But the thing is that if it's not, it better be because of you just had a really freakish injury and that you're not looking ahead to Florida and you're not looking ahead to Starkville and you're not looking ahead to Atlanta. You're just focusing in on the one game that you have currently on the radar. One Saturday at a time. It's a good defense that's turned the corner. It's an offense that has an identity that is truly multifaceted. All the things that you want to see, it's there. Take it that way. And for Georgia, again, same thing. Do not think that you can just march on into Starkville and find a way to beat the brakes off of Mississippi State. And then you're looking ahead to Texas next week. Or you're looking ahead to a couple weeks down the road when you face off against a Georgia Tech team that may need to win that game to guarantee their spot in the college football playoff. So don't go looking that way just yet. You better be focused in on what you have to do to take down an Isaac Smith, to take down a Seydou Traore on offense, to take down an Anthony Evans and a Brennan Thompson that are both averaging over 15 yards per play. And you cannot afford to have this moment where this is the week where you played around with fire too long and now you're dealing with third-degree burns going into the matchup against Texas. Focus in on this game, focus in on the strengths of your offense, and continue to do what you've done in every other matchup besides Alabama. Make winning plays when it counts. You do that, you're in the playoff. You may not even have to go to Atlanta to guarantee that you're hosting a playoff game and having an easier pathway to make it to the national championship and head on down to Hard Rock Stadium. And then win and exhale. If Alabama and Texas A&M, these two teams that I have in the top tier, find a way to win this weekend, take a giant exhale. Neither one of you is losing to Samford or Eastern Illinois. Just throw that out there. I don't think that Texas A&M is going to lose to South Carolina. And even though I understand that there is certainly a reason to bring it up because of the voodoo shaman man's magic has not seeped through the soils of Jordan Hare just yet, I don't think that Alabama is going to lose the Iron Bowl this year. So that means you win this game. At worst, you're going to be 10-2 or 11-1 if you're Texas A&M. That means you're in the playoff. Both of you would be already in Atlanta, or at least one of you would be in Atlanta if somehow, some way Texas doesn't find a way to win out. But regardless, you'd be in Atlanta, you'd be in the playoff. At worst, you'd be hosting a playoff game in Kyle Field or at Bryant-Denny Stadium. At best, you both would be on a bye week. So just do your job this weekend. Don't find a way to play down to the level of competition out in Como, and don't find a way to play down to the level of competition against a coachless LSU team. You have the talent. Marcel Reed very much has proven he is a Heisman caliber quarterback. The offensive line out in Kyle Field is the best in the SEC. No questions asked. The culture that has been implemented defensively with basically Jason Voorhees, nicknamed Cassius Howell in disguise coming off of the edge, is well documented. Everything has changed in favor of Texas A&M. You just got to prove that even with the road woes of the past, they're left there. And as for Alabama, you have everything going for you at the right time too. Your defense is getting better. It's making critical plays at the right opportune moments. Your offense has an identity of knowing how to pass it downfield. You're able to run the football efficiently, and you're capitalizing inside the red zone. You do all those things together, lo and behold, you're going to be good. You're going to be set for the playoff. And better yet, you're going to be set to prove to everybody that, once again, what we saw back in Tallahassee week 1 was the outlier. This is the standard of Kalen DeBoer football. This is what you can expect and why he was brought on in from Seattle. Oh, he doesn't know how to know about the SEC. He doesn't know how to recruit. No, he knows how to win, and winning is the most important culture in Tuscaloosa. That's why I call it Titletown USA. You do that there, you do that everywhere. In Alabama, they're lo and behold right back in the saddle and proven why they run the SEC until further notice. But those are my tier rankings. To recap real fast, Stoop kids afraid to leave a Stoop is Kentucky in the bottom row. Basketball season has arrived. Arkansas, Florida, and Auburn. The preseason poll lies with South Carolina and LSU. Mississippi State's the ultimate spoiler. James Franklin's favorite team is Tennessee. Win out and you're in. Vanderbilt, Texas, Oklahoma, and Missouri. One Saturday at a time belongs to Georgia and Ole Miss. And win this weekend and exhale for Texas A&M and Alabama. That does it for me, but before we get out of here, let me tell you about my friends over at FanDuel. It's NBA tip-off week, and FanDuel is in your home for live betting. So even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride their hot hand going into the fourth quarter for any comeback, do so at FanDuel.com/SECU. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for the short, bigger payouts. However you want to play, now it's the perfect time to join. Begin today at FanDuel.com/SECU. Get $300 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Sign up today, FanDuel.com/SECU. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. That does it for us here at SEC Unfiltered. Like the video, hit the ring notification. Let me know in the comment section below who is ranked too high, too low in the tier rankings. Make sure that you also go ahead and follow us on social media at SEC Unfiltered and check out all of our great work found at secunfiltered.com. Until next time, folks, I am Cole Thompson. We have a scary Saturday upon us in the SEC and more clarification or chaos. Regardless, I'm excited. Bye.